the day that Wounded Knee happened. It was the massacre at Wounded Knee. Now they tried to say that it was a battle, but it wasn't a battle. Um, this was by the same cavalry that had lost at Little Bighorn, but that was like 14 years later. But I'm sure it wasn't had anything to do with that. People are very forgiving, and they don't hold a grudge for things like that. But that's okay. That's okay. We're stating the obvious, okay? Wounded Knee, the Lakota Indians. Now this was it's 1890, okay? Picture it. 1890. It's Wounded Knee, and it is in Pine Ridge, South Dakota. Now, you gotta at the time, there was a spiritual movement going through the Native Americans at the time, and it was the ghost dance. And if you've ever seen this dance, um, I can see why some people were a little scared. It is a um, it's a threatening dance. Now, what the dance was meant to convey was that the Native Americans, that basically their ancestors, everyone was going to come in and help them rise up, that they were going to have, they were going to get their lands back, and that so they were invoking all this to happen in this dance. And it was an intimidating dance as it was meant to be. So in true fashion, the U.S. government decided to ban that that dance. We're going to stop the dance, and then who knows what they were thinking? Who knows what they were thinking? That they were going to stop the dance, and the Native Americans were just going to, oh, okay, well, it's been banned, so we'll just move on, and just accept things as it is. But that is not what happened. Of course, the neighbor, like anytime anything is banned. I mean, banned books. You give me a banned book list, uh, you can bet your ass I am buying every single book on that list. I am making sure I have read every book on that list. I am making sure that my kids, my grandkids, my every neighbors, friends, everyone knows a book, reads a book, has the book. So there's nothing that will make something more popular than banning it. So I'm positive that that is what happened when the U.S. government decided to ban history, or to not to ban it, but to ban the ghost dance. Yeah, that worked well. So, mm, coffee today is brewed. So they went on. So they were, squashing. This is the thing. You don't want your subjects to be too spirited. Um, I'm going to tell you, this was some of the best advice I ever got on raising kids. Was from a woman who raised horses. I was pregnant with my first, and she said, "You don't want to break a child's spirit. You want to tame them, just like you do with a horse." She was like, that spirit, when they become adults, that is what's going to help them get through it. You need that spirit, that fight in them. And if they lose that, they become a defeated person. So this was what the government was wanting to squash. They did not want they did not want the Native Americans spirited. They wanted them crushed and underfoot and subjugated. That is what they wanted. So the ghost dance was banned, and the president says, "You know what? Let's get rid of this. We don't want them, you know, having any kind of hope." So at Wounded Knee, now this was 1890. Um, it was now it was that now, mind you, just a few weeks earlier, okay, um, at Standing Rock, and we're gonna get more into Standing Rock in a little bit. I kinda went into a deep dive on this. Sitting Bull had, been killed. He was, that Sitting Bull, and he had been killed um, at Standing Rock. Now, this I hadn't realized that, the Standing Rock, the reservation, Sioux reservation was I don't know. Sometimes, you have a disconnect, between historical dates and times, it's like, uh, the Standing Rock, from the protests of 2016, 2017 is that same Standing Rock. Sitting Bull Sitting Bull was killed here. He is killed at Standing Rock. Um, and there, understandably, everyone is very emotional. So the 29th Army, they go and they surround these ghost dancers a couple weeks later on December 29th in 1890. They surround these ghost dancers and they tell them, basically to disperse. You don't got to go home, but you can't stay here, kind of thing. So, there's about 100. Well, the numbers on the inside, because remind you, they are surrounded. Um, the numbers have kind of fluctuated. They said it was only 150. Others have said it was upwards of 300, and there are women and children in this group. And they tell them that they need to disperse, that what they are doing is illegal. They said they were ghost dancers, and that had been banned. So they, told me you're gonna have to break it up. And what happened is, but the official story is there was a skirmish, some kind of fight broke out between a Native American and a cavalryman, and a shot was fired, which we all know, especially in a tense situation. I mean, this happened in the American Revolution. How many times has this happened in history? I mean, I've seen it happen just not shooting, but just things happen. They snowball really quickly, and that's what they said happened. That someone fired a shot, everyone else was, you know, trigger happy, itchy fingers, didn't know what scared, whatever, and they shot. Now there was only 25 cavalrymen that were killed, as opposed to the supposed number of 150. That is the official number coming from the U.S. government, but you know, we're not going to, I believe the native side said it was about 300, and women. Half of them were women and children. Um, yeah. It always makes me wonder when I think of things like that, like, how 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 do people go back home after doing that, witnessing that? Like, that has to stick with you. That has to, and I would hope, haunt your dreams the rest of your life. As I do hope that those soldiers, were haunted by the screams of the women and children for the rest of their lives, that they heard them every single night. So they go on. This happens, like I said, they said it was a battle. It was not a battle. This was a massacre. Um, but it was also the last major confrontation in the Plains Indian Wars. Uh, you know, uh, that was pretty much it. Um, now, 1973. Now there hadn't been anything quite. 1973, the American Indian Movement (AIM), they start a 71-day occupation, protesting the treatment again because in the 19 this is 1970, not 1870, 1970, 1973, protesting the treatment of Native Americans by the U.S. government. So it was 71 days. They were eventually taken out. I believe there might have been some deaths, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. Got my notes over here. I didn't write it down. So then there was that one. Then, if you remember in 2016, 2017, there was the Standing Rock protest where they were protesting the pipeline that was going in. Now this had been started. This was started. This pipeline was started in during Obama's administration, and some people are like, oh, more oil, we get more money, lower gas prices. And actually, the oil that would have been pumped through that, we'll get into all of that in a minute. The oil that would have been pumped through that was only 1%, 1% of the world's oil, crude oil. So it wasn't it wasn't like, something that was costing us, like half the world's supply. We needed it. No, we didn't. It was just 1%. So Obama stopped it in 2016, presidential order. He stopped it. And then, I mean, thank goodness Trump won in 2016 or and in 2017, 4 days after he took office, he signed it back on. So, it's back on. They are building it. Now, mind you, while the Native Americans, while the Sioux were protesting this, the dogs, their attack dogs were sicked on them. Hoses, um, mace, rubber bullets. It was like uh, they again were trying to stamp out the spirit and extinguish uh, Native Americans, um, but not really. Anyway, emotional. So 2017, Trump says, "Yeah, go ahead and build it." But the funny thing is that he okayed it. The CEO of Energy Transfer Partners was who was building the pipeline. Had given him it was only $100,000 campaign contribution, but but Trump was also an investor in that pipeline. So yeah, so he okayed it. They started building. Well, then Standing Rock, the Native Americans there, they took them to court, and they were going to court. Let's see. Oh, they went into court until 20 in 2020. Um, yeah. Now wait. So the pipeline, it wasn't like, it just stopped there. It was like it kind of branched off. It was like a little actual little extra little arm of it. Okay. It was just a little add-on. Now they already had a pipeline for regular crude oil that went from Canada, which I find ironic that Uh, because see, this was when they were proposing this pipeline, they were like, we need Canada. We, our friends to the north of us, we're in business with them. We're partners with them. It's funny what 4 years can do. So anyway, this little addendum pipeline that they're building over here is not for regular crude oil. Okay. It is I had to write it down because I was like, "What is this?" It was for tar sand oil, which is a synthetic oil, which basically they use hot water and it leaches out the bitumen from the soil. Okay. Which creates, but what that creates is it creates 3 times more greenhouse gases than regular crude oil, and it depletes the local water supply. And and there's a hazardous byproducts that come from that. And one of those is petroleum coke. I'm not sure what that is. I did not look up what petroleum coke is. Um, but it doesn't sound like something we need to make. Um, Yeah, it sounds like something that needs to not be made. So those are, and then of course, leaking into the because they didn't care. I mean, it's like, companies, that dump human, waste, excrement, pig waste. They're not doing it in the rich part of town. They're not doing it, where people say they're going out to the country where there's not a lot of where they think that there's not a lot of people, or they just don't care. I'm gonna opt for they just don't care. Um, I mean, here in Oklahoma, there was a company. It was a human from a it was human waste, solid waste from water treatment, some kind of treatment, sewage treatment plant. And it was the day before Christmas. They had gone out of the city limits and were spraying it on the ground. Uh, People recorded this. And so will they get in trouble? Probably not. My guess is they will not get in trouble. They might pay a little fine or whatever, but the damage is done. They've done spread human shit and piss and whatever else people flush down their toilets. They spread it, in these people's backyards outside of the city limits. The, I believe that big business, most big businesses, um, like the out of sight, out of mind kind of mentality. So, that's what the Keystone Pipeline was doing. It wasn't needed. It wasn't needed. It's not a crucial part of the pipeline. Anyway, so they get their permit back, they start building again, and then Trump loses and Biden takes office. Biden puts a stop to it, and he revokes the permit and says no. And then what was that? They said what was the company's name? Energy Transfer Partners and TC Energy. They withdraw, and I'm sure because at this point they've been in court for 4 years. They've been trying to build it for about 14 years, 15 years. And it's just not happening. Nobody wants it. Now, the reason um, that the Native Americans did not want it was because it was not only was the line going through sacred land, um, but drink, but they were afraid of it contaminating their water supply, which was a legit scare because in 2022, the rest of the pipeline that was running through that, it had a major leak in Washington County, Kansas, where over 500,000 gallons were leaked into the water supply. So yeah, funny. I don't know why Standing Rock and them didn't want it. It was their only water supply. Can you imagine? Yeah. Do you think the government would have paid attention as much to that water contamination as they probably did, although I'm not sure how much attention they paid to the one in Kansas? It depends on where it's at. What is the property value? Who was affected? Because if you are not in a certain uh, class, a certain tax bracket, um, if it affects you, it doesn't matter, which is what always amazes me when people want to cheer on millionaires and billionaires. They don't care, boo boo. They don't care. They 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 just don't. They just don't. They're gonna tell you, oh, okay, but they don't. They are just as likely to go and dump pig shit in your backyard as they are to smile in your face and give you a sticker. Don't give them your money. Don't do that. So that that was it. That was it. So that's I just thought it was interesting. All, way back, we're looking at 135 years of history from Wounded Knee, the Lakota, Standing Rock. I don't know what it is with South Dakota. Um, and that gnome woman they got up there. Ugh. But yeah, it's been quite the historical day. So today, in our Brewed history, in 1890, December 29th, the Wounded Knee Massacre happened. And, let's not forget, just because it's banned that or it's against the law means it's wrong. Nazis they were doing what they were told. They were following the law. Uh, Jim Crow era, they were following the law. They were just following the law. So just because it's law doesn't mean it's right. And let's remember that. So drink your coffee, keep it warm, and I will see you on Friday. I will be live Friday morning. Bye.